Hi, I'm Elizabeth Stavros, naturopathic doctor, and today I'm going to talk to you about why to practice mindfulness-based meditation. We live in a hectic world, especially those of us who live in urban centers. So for me, when I look out my downtown condo window, I see cars maneuvering their way through traffic. I see streetlights flashing, people rushing to their next meeting. And even though my conscious mind is able to filter out a lot of this noise, it still has cumulative effects on my body and on my mind. And those cumulative effects are the effects of stress. Many of us just don't seem to notice how much stress we're faced with on a daily basis, often because we have very competent coping mechanisms in place. And sometimes it will take us a vacation away to a place with no Wi-Fi to actually remember what it's like to be instead of just to be doing all the time. I first made this being versus doing realization in 2009 when I was a stressed out medical student and I had this crazy 12-hour-a-day study schedule coupled with added hours on top of that for my work schedule, and this left me virtually no time for relaxation. So I began to feel this underlying current of irritation at little things in life, and at that point I knew that something had to give. This something was my on-the-go, crazy type A personality that was no longer serving me. I wanted to still hold on to these motivated, ambitious aspects of the old me that were actually serving me, but to let go of the competitive, overachieving parts that were causing me to suffer. So I came into medicine as a second career. Initially, I worked in strategic marketing for a number of years. And so I was part of I had this, hard work, no play attitude. And I really needed to let go of the old me and make room for the new. And for me, the tool that enabled me to do this was mindfulness. It all started when I saw this poster on our college wall that was an 8-week course from the Center for Mindfulness Studies. So I was skeptical at first. I thought this could never undo the stress ball that was me, until I started looking into the research. And I found that there was a massive amount of literature that actually supported the use of mindfulness, from everything from recovery from surgery to this ability to rewire your brain from these reactive states and enable you to live in a state of responsiveness. And I was sold. The course actually was what started me on this journey of practicing mindfulness and of also learning about these ancient mind training techniques of Tibetan Buddhists and others. The way that it was structured was we started with a yoga sequence followed by a discussion on topics like breaking down limiting beliefs, letting go of negative self-talk, the practice of gratitude, and learning forgiveness as a tool for gaining personal freedom. And all of this is really important work in sort of liberating yourself and enabling you to be your best self. And it finished with a practice of meditation where we focused inward and cultivated awareness. So at first I thought it was impossible for me to sit in this cross-legged position for 15 minutes without moving. I remember my mind would wander aimlessly and I thought that I'd never be able to tame the dragon that was my mind at that time. But perseverance led to results, and to my surprise, every week it got a little easier. My posture got a little better and my mind found a few extra dips into tranquility. I like to give the example of driving. So at first driving seems impossible if you remember when you were 16 and you first got your license. But then after a while you're like, I got this, but you're still on high alert. And then after a few months you begin to feel relaxed and this newfound state becomes second nature. So mindfulness and meditation are no different. With practice comes a deepening of practice, and there's no perfection. Perfection doesn't exist, but there's this deepening of practice where you're able to stay with your state in the present moment for longer. At the end of this 8-week course, I began to chip away at all of the parts of myself that I no longer needed. And as a result, the authentic parts of myself began to shine through and to shine brighter. This was really transformative for me. Step into the future, 8 years later, many aspects of my life have been altered with this practice. The neural circuitry in my brain has literally been rewired after years of intentionally forging new healthy pathways that do serve me, instead of just being on autopilot and following along with patterns that no longer serve me. Happiness is a perception of your own reality, and meditation really helps you to shift the way that you perceive things. I love this one quote that's in this book called the Tao Te Ching, and it goes like this: when you change the way that you look at something, that thing changes. And mindfulness really can be the gentle guide that catalyzes these perceptual shifts that enable us to be our vibrant, healthy selves. It enables us to see things as they actually are, instead of attaching our stories to them, which we tend to do. And downstream, the effects are improvements in memory, focus, increased relationship satisfaction. Mindfulness has also been proven to be useful in altering the cognitive processes that underlie clinical issues like depression and anxiety. I now have the pleasure of assisting my clients achieve their long-term wellness goals by integrating this practice into their day-to-day lives, and I see the transformative effects on them and on their families. It's quite remarkable. I liken the practice of mindfulness to a wave, because after it crashes, it continues to give these ripples of blessings.